Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to Transport Fever 2. Now, this week's episode is a twofer. I seem to be doing that a lot at the moment in different series. I sort of start off doing one thing, and then kind of segue that into another. But yeah, I guess that's what I do, and I do it well, I'd like to think. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, this week's episode is a twofer. The first part here is over at Richmond. You might remember last episode, it might have even been the episode before, when we built Richmond Station. I talked about wanting to build some kind of like train depot over here, like carriage sidings, engine shed, that kind of thing. Very, very pleased to announce that that is what's happening here right now. You'll see I'm building Richmond Train Care. I mean, in the future, it will become Train Care Depot. Right now, it's just, I guess it would just be depot or, you know, shed. Richmond Shed, where we just have a collection of rolling stock and locos. You might also notice there, we've got girder bridges unlocked now. We are in, I want to say 1915. I can't actually see what it says at the bottom. But we've advanced enough that we've now got girder bridges. So I do, in fact, add some girder bridges later on in the episode. Right now, though, like I said, we're working on rolling stock and loco sheds. So the first set of sidings that I built, that's actually the loco shed. And I think I will make it slightly smaller. I think I made it way too big for like a beginner's shed. So that will change. The second bit that I'm building now, this is actually the rolling stock, like carriage sidings, that kind of thing. And I do run through and just litter it with carriages. All sorts of different types from all different eras. Just fill the whole thing. I do leave one track clear because I do put a functional depot at the end. And I kind of wanted it to be that most new trains will spawn at that depot. Or at least trains that start at Richmond will spawn at that depot. Might need to put one facing in the other direction for trains that spawn elsewhere. But I thought it would be cool to at least have it somewhat functional and actually have trains run through. Excuse me, I have started recording with a frog in my throat and I forgot to bring my drink to my desk, which is not very useful. So you'll have to bear with me. It's a 45-minute video, or at least it is at the moment. This whole thing, by the way, this and the second part of the video, which I'll talk about in a sec, took 2 hours 20 from start to finish. My backside was numb when I finished this recording. Believe me, it was numb. You probably didn't need to know that, but oh well. C'est la vie. So yeah, this ladder track thing, I tried to use it for Richmond, did I not? And it didn't really work, but I used it here and it actually worked quite well. I keep going to call it a ladder. I think it is called a ladder when you've got all the different tracks that spur off one after the other. So it was a good test really to use this here because I might use it elsewhere on the network. And as I worked out last time, when you first place it down, you can actually delete individual parts of it if you so wish. I didn't have that problem, thankfully, but it's nice to have that just in case. I think you can upgrade parts of it individually as well. But yeah, that is the rolling stock part of the depot done. And now we're going to do the engine shed part, which again is just a smaller version of the ladder system here. And then we got two lovely actual depots that we're going to plug into the end. Now, the one for the loco shed, first of all, as I said, I might make the loco shed one, the sidings at least a little bit smaller. And I also might replace that shed there with something else. I might just have it be a straight bit of track, to be honest, because we don't need it to be functional, that one. It's only the rolling stock one. So long as there's one that's functional, it doesn't matter about the rest. And then, yeah, I'm kind of going through the menu here, exploring different things. I was hoping I'd have like a shed asset that I could pop down, but I don't. I have since gone on the workshop and found one. And even things like signal boxes I didn't have. So I've had to go in and download those as well. Hopefully I can add them to the game without it causing any trouble. I think I added some mods too. Some new mods. I can't remember exactly what they do now. But there was one or two that I looked at, and some new trains as well. So some GWR stuff, which I'm very tempted to replace most, if not all, of the rolling stock that I've got right now with GWR. Nothing wrong with the, is it LBSC? London, Brighton and South Coast? LBSC, yeah. There's nothing wrong with them. They're very, very nice. I will keep some of them, particularly the Terriers, because they are a personal favourite of mine. But we've got some Prairies now, and some Collets, and some Churchwoods, and I do prefer GWR over anything else. I've said that in the past. I make no secret of my love for the GWR. The real life GWR, current day GWR, I'm a bit indifferent about, but the old GWR, Brunel, Gooch, people like that, big fan. If you can call yourself a fan of a railway company, but I like GWR, so therefore I will look to add some more of their stuff across the network. As I said here, then, just filling this carriage sidings, just lots of different carriages of lots of different types. Wasn't really fussed about what went where. Any carriage that's been used on the network over the course of the series has now been included here. Something else I did here was I placed one-way signals at the entrances to all but one of the sidings here. And that's going to be the siding that trains use when they go to and from the depot. It would be nice, I don't know if there's a mod that does this, but instead of just selling a train wherever it is on the line, it would be nice if it worked like, is it Train Fever had it? Where you just send it to the depot and then you sell it. Oh, did I think I did make the engine shed smaller. That's cool. Yeah, I must have done. Well, there you go. That's that solved. Yeah, it'd be nice to actually send trains to the depot so trains don't just go in one direction. In fact, did I? Literally everything I just said, I went and did. That must have been some residual memory or something. Even this, by the way, is too big. You'll see here as I place some locos down. Obviously, I'm going to have some GWR locos again in the future, which is going to make a difference. It's really weird how those tenders, by the way, are way smaller than the front bumpers. Bumpers? Don't know where I got bumpers from. But yeah, I'll be adding some GWR stuff there as well. You can imagine it's like a mixed depot. Bit of this, bit of that kind of thing. And then the track type that I've used here, I thought it was just for decorative purposes only, but it does in fact function as a track. It's the Bullhead Rusty, I think it's called. And like I said, happy to report, it functions as a track. So I unknowingly actually started a train from the depot. I think I cloned one to use on a line. And it actually came out of this depot. So I was very, very happy about that. One other thing that bothered me when I built Richmond was the symmetry of the junctions that approach the station, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of build this shed ASAP, was to de-symmetry, if that's a word, Richmond station. And again, happy to report, it seems to have worked. You'll see here, so I'm building this huge crossover so that trains can get from the shed to... Do I make it so that they can go through... I think I'd build another set of crossovers a little further up. But basically they can get to all platforms of Richmond Station now, including Richmond East, which is the bay platforms you see at the top of the screen there. A train can get from the shed to any of those platforms, which I'm very, very happy about. And basically any trains now that start at the south of the map, they will go through Richmond Station from this depot. I don't plan on building any other depots to the south of Richmond. This is going to be the most southerly one. There is going to be one to the north as well. I haven't decided where it's going to be built yet. But effectively, you'll have a depot pointing in each direction. And I might as well say what happens in the second part of the video. I build a new line from Blackburn and continue it north, right the way up to this huge new complex that I've built. Which at the time that I built it, I didn't think was ever going to be properly used. And I actually thought I'd bankrupted the company, in all honesty, building it. But thankfully, I just went on Steam the other day for other reasons. I think I was playing Forza or something like that. And I happened to notice there were patch notes, like an update post from the developers of Transport Fever. So I sat down to read it. Effectively, they've started work on a big update for the new year. I don't think they gave a time frame on how long it's going to be before it's published. Or released, not published. But essentially, they're adding some new features and tweaking some existing things and so on and so forth. One of the things they're tweaking is they're going to try and make it so that trains on a particular service can use multiple platforms in a station. So you're not just limited to one platform anymore. You can use multiple tracks. Now that for me, I kind of overuse the word game changer from time to time. But that to me is an absolute game changer, in all honesty. That's a big, big deal. That makes it more like OpenTTD. And I've said in the past, this game is like a 3D OpenTTD. And now it really is like a 3D OpenTTD with that update. I'm thrilled that they're actually working on that. Really, really, really thrilled. It's going to change the way that I build my maps, essentially. These big stations that I've been building, like Richmond here, for example, if you can allocate 2 or 3 platforms to a service, suddenly you've got more operational flexibility. So if one platform is full and the next train comes in, it can use the platform next to it, for example. And like I said, I think that's a really, really good update. So I'm hoping sooner rather than later that comes out. But right now, I'm very, very happy with that as an update. Speaking of updates, you might remember last episode and the episode before, I was starting to get a little bit concerned because the company seemed to be losing quite a lot of money. After recording this video, as I was setting up services for this new section of line that I've built, I was kind of going through which line was losing us the most money, and I noticed it was the freight trains, particularly the long distance freight trains, and even more particularly some of the ones that we built last episode. So Holsworthy to Luton goods, that wasn't making much money. Luton to, or at least Luton Freight Depot to Gravesend, I think it was. And also the one that runs up to, I want to say Harrow, but it might be Hereford. The Tools train is the one I'm trying to remember. Essentially what happened is I got mixed up when I was doing my loading and unloading. You guys might have noticed this and just didn't tell me in the comments, which is fine. But essentially the trains were loading up with stuff but not unloading. They weren't able to unload. So because of that, these trains were running full all the time. I think I first noticed it because one of the, I think it was the mineral train actually, ran into the freight depot, freight terminal at Luton and didn't unload. It remained loaded, which I thought was really odd at the time. So I went and followed it for a little bit. And yeah, it turns out that it wasn't able to unload. So I've gone through the orders now and tweaked it around a little bit. And I think I fixed it because I went from having like 10 million in the bank and dropping to it suddenly shooting up to like 60 million. And even when I finally saved and quit the game, I think it was up to like 75 million, which is ridiculous. So I was getting a bit worried that every time I do a big build like the one you're seeing here, and this one especially because I had to take out a loan to finish it. Spoiler alert. We're actually starting that part of the line now as well, up towards this new station, which I keep going to say it's Marston Mortain, but no, that's a completely different station. Also, here's the girder bridge being built. Lovely to see that. It actually looks too modern for where we are time-wise, but it unlocks itself at this time, so I guess it's within the realms of reality. I don't know. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I had to take out a loan to finish the project that you're seeing me build here. By the time I saved and quit the game, which was about an hour or so maybe after I'd finished recording this episode, I'd paid off the loan again. That's how freaking awesome it was, basically. It worked. The new line works. The money is rolling in. Very, very happy. Very, 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 very happy, in fact. Loving it. And I've been watching trains go back and forth on this new line. It seems to work very well. Like I said, the money's coming in, so no complaints there. It's all good stuff. It's all very, very good stuff. This viaduct here, by the way, I think I might replace with a girder bridge as well, particularly the flyover. That's definitely a candidate to be replaced. And yeah, I build these crossovers here so that fast trains can access the platforms here at Blackburn, because we're no longer just having terminating services, we're actually having through services come through here. We're going to be using both platforms, and in fact I think the express train that I build at the end of the episode, or set up at the end of the episode, does in fact stop at Blackburn. So I'm trying to remember what stations there are along the way. Scunthorpe is definitely one of them, Yeovil as well, then we've got Blackburn, and I want to say Lincoln, but I don't think it is Lincoln. I'm pretty sure there's another one, and then we get to the terminus, all of which have been linked up with buses and or trams to their respective towns. The big new station that I build, I believe, does have Parkway in its name because it's not near a particular town. It kind of serves a multitude of towns. There are, as I said, multiple platforms. There are some towns to the north of this station that haven't been connected yet. I plan on running like little branch lines up to those. I'm trying not to give too much away right now because we're still like half an hour away from actually seeing it being built. These stations here, by the way, the ones with the island platform in the middle, seem like a really good idea when you build them, and then you realise you've got to connect the tracks up, and especially when you've got tunnels like this, it becomes a bit of a pain. Thankfully, I managed to cut the tunnel back a little bit, and then I believe I do get it to work. But I like having tunnels. I like having little things like that kind of split up the tracks. It's not just constantly running through open plains and things like, that can be potentially annoying. That, though, was a bit of an obstacle. I think I take it right. In fact, yeah, I moved the station to the other side of the town. That's what I do. Here at Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe Station is another one that might end up being enlarged. I up it to 6 platforms here, I believe. Or do I do the through track trick? I probably do that. Yeah, I do that. There you go. So that freight trains can just go through. I don't really know. Actually, do I? Oh, maybe not. I thought I made this a 6 platform station, but I guess not. But yeah, some of these stations I'm not a huge fan of the design of. I don't actually. I need to have another look at Steam Workshop to see if there are other types of platforms and things that I can include. I'm pretty sure at this stage, time-wise, I should be able to build elevated platforms, because in real life they would have existed around about now, particularly in central London. You know, stations like London Bridge were elevated. They were built on viaducts. And speaking of viaducts, Holborn Viaduct as well was built on a viaduct, as was Island Garden. Although Island Gardens was a DLR station, actually. That's a bad example. What's what I'm trying to think of? Blackfriars was built on a bridge, more so now than before. There's one I'm trying to think of that doesn't exist anymore. I can't think off the top of my head. But then you've also got ones like Limehouse, was built on a bridge, still exists. Greenwich, I think, is on a bridge. Fenchurch Street is elevated. It's not on a bridge as such, but it is elevated. So I think I should be able to build elevated platforms. But again, perhaps there's a mod that unlocks it. But yeah, it's by the by right now. Again, I'm trying to read these town names, because when I record these voiceovers, I have Premiere run at a quarter resolution, so it's very difficult to actually read anything unless I pause it. But if I pause it, I can't do the voiceover, so you'll have to bear with me. This is the new station that I was talking about, though. This station is massive. It actually has a split platform for the slow lines, which you don't see right now, but trust me, there is one in the future. I just went to town on this, basically. I was reading an article. If you watch my Open TTD series, you'll know the one I'm talking about, to do with East West Rail. And I was reading about Cambridge Station. One of my fondest memories of Cambridge Station is the island platform on the, I guess, the east side of the station. And then they have this really long, I think it's platform 1, I might be wrong, that is technically split into 2. Might even be split into 3 these days. And it has this like crossover halfway down, which a lot of stations have. Birmingham New Street has that kind of layout as well. And I think at this point here, I realised, why not try and do something like that in Transport Fever? It's something, when I first heard about modular stations, it was one of the first things I wanted to try out was, can you build these like crossover things? And from what I can gauge, the answer is yes, you can. The road here had to be moved. That's fine. I do actually hit the station limit. I don't know if there's a way to increase that at all. It would be nice if you could. Because, yeah, trying to keep within the station limit, but also build a realistic station, it's kind of tricky. I also don't know if... so where I build the station buildings, you'll see in a sec, the southern station buildings, there's this gap between the station building and the first platform. So I just filled that gap with platforms. But I think what that actually does is just increase the number of platforms. It doesn't make life any easier. Like, it doesn't fill... I'm trying to find my words. It doesn't fill the gap as such. It just builds 2 platforms in that space, and then they function as platforms. Or at least I believe they function as platforms. It's not ideal. by any stretch. It's definitely not ideal. If there's a way around that, please do let me know. I'll be thrilled to discover if there is a way around it. And other than that, what else was I going to say? I'm sure there was something else really important, but I can't think about it right now. Oh yeah, we built these. Yeah, so these split platforms are now complete. We got these scissor crossovers halfway down, or half-ish way down these platforms, and then we do the fast platforms here. We do have some bay platforms both to the west and east on the slow lines on the south side, and then we do have some bay platforms on the express lines as well. Eventually we will have some trains that will run straight through these stations. And I said about having branch lines that continue to the northeast and the northwest. There's nothing stopping us building an express line that covers that as well in the future. The only reason I haven't done that right now is because these towns are pretty small up here. I feel like the towns get bigger the closer you get to the center of the map, and then they get smaller again as you head away. I think that's the case. I might be wrong. But yeah, just future-proofing, really. I've talked about that in the past. Just making sure that the infrastructure that I'm building here now is still suitable for when things get bigger in the future. These are those bay platforms I was telling you about. One on each side there. Do I add another one? I don't know. But there's that little gap plugger that I was telling you about as well. Two there. Or do I fill that with track? No, I fill that one with track. Do I fill that gap? I'm sure I do. I get confused. I'm watching it back. I recorded this like 2 days ago. But I'm watching it back and I'm like, did I do that? I just don't remember. Oh yeah, there we go. And you fill the gap. And then I filled the gap here as well. And then I build some station buildings on this side. And then I build some station buildings on the other side. Whether or not this is how you do it, I've no idea. I guess we'll have to find out. But yeah, station buildings on this side too. And then I also build underpasses. There you go. One there. And one there. And then I also build one just in front of the station building as well, because I couldn't work out if people could actually walk across from one to the other. And I didn't want to find out the hard way that they couldn't. So, covered the bases. I will watch it at some point to see if people do go down and under or whether they stay up top. We'll find out. Likewise with these shelters here, I didn't really know where to place them. Just kind of hoped for the best. And then we got to build the complex junction that brings tracks in. So right now, this is kind of a loop station. So the line that will come in from the west is the one that we're building right now from Blackburn. The one coming in from the east, I'm hoping, is going to be an extension of the line that currently terminates at Hereford. Is it Hereford or Harrow? It's one of the two. And runs up from M4J junction that way. Then we can have trains potentially going from Richmond round the loop, right the way up here, round the loop, and then back down to Richmond again. And then obviously running that journey in reverse. That's a very, very long trip. Obviously I don't think anyone's going to do the whole trip from start to finish. But I guess we'll see. This is also a prime candidate for an airport. If we could build an airport that connects to this station, I think that would do very, very well. I think it's just about far enough outside of the nearby towns that we're not going to get any noise concerns. So it'll be an interesting one to actually test out and see how well it works. Here's a tram station then that I built outside the railway station. Tried to connect it up in a interesting way. You'll actually notice that it doesn't work to begin with, and I think it's because of this layout of roads. Turns out not to be the case. I don't think I'd electrified the tramway and tried to use an electric tram. At least I hadn't electrified the tram stop, and that's what the problem was. But I don't think I set it back to how it looks here. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I can't remember. And yeah, this is the massive station, which is not in the thumbnail for this video, if I recall. I think the thumbnail is actually the sidings, the train storage sidings, which, you know, got to keep some mystery to these episodes, I suppose. There's so many times in the past where I've recorded an episode and I've immediately wanted to go on Discord and say like, oh, this one's going to be a good one, guys. And this is one of those episodes where I wanted to do that because genuinely, it took a long time to do, don't get me wrong, and I was knackered at the end of it. But genuinely, this is one of the best episodes in this series that I've ever recorded. I'm very, very happy with it. You can see I've extended this tramway all the way up here as well. These eventually are going to have railways connecting them up. I kind of built these upgraded roads just in case people wanted to cart their way down from those towns to this station here and then get on the train. One thing I haven't checked in this game, I know people walk to the nearest station. We know that, that's confirmed. We also know that they might use a bus or a tram to get to a railway station for onwards travel. One thing I've never actually checked is whether or not people drive. So if you're at the town in the northwest corner, say, and it's too far to walk and there's no bus, will they drive to the nearest station and then catch the train? Or will they just drive all the way to their destination? I imagine they will just drive all the way to their destination. But it would be cool if the opposite was true. That'd be really freaking cool. So we'll have to see about that. Here's the departure from Scunthorpe Station then. Again, it's another set of weird shaped crossovers. I'm trying to remember how this was done as well. Something to do with... Oh yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, we have a scissor crossing there, and then the express track connects up. I believe also this line here ends up coming out a lot lower than I anticipated it being, which is not the end of the world. I think it kind of looks cool still. I think it looks very cool still, in fact. And I'm kind of anticipating, so we're in, what was it, 1915 I said? So we're not quite at the diesel age yet, but we are at the electric age. Electric trains did start appearing, especially in London, in the late 1800s. So I am starting to wonder how far away we are from electrified rails, which, for the little commuter type lines, I think that'd be a really good test bed. Right now we don't have many lines like that. We could potentially do the M4J junction to Luton line, electrify that and use that as like a little test bed, and see where we go from that. The Luton shuttle, the little freight shuttle that we built last time, that's a very, very busy service now. There are a lot of goods going backwards and forwards between Luton and the freight terminal, so I'm very happy that that's paid off at least. Because, again, when I build these big things here, I wanted to try and build small when I started this series. The plan was to, like, every episode would be like a bus network in a town or something like that. But I've kind of got away from myself a little bit and started building these huge, like, vanity style projects. I will eventually, maybe from next episode, go back to some of the smaller scale things again. So what I want to do next time is start looking at some of these towns up in the north of the map here and how we can connect those up. The plan right now is to have like an intra-city bus network. So each town / city will have its own bus network that will just zoom round, taking people from here to there, with a central bus station being the main focal point, which may or may connect to may or may not connect to a railway station. I haven't decided yet. But from that central bus station, there will then be buses that go, say for example, the northwest corner. There'll be a bus that goes from there down to this station that we've just built. There'll be one that goes to the next town, and just give people lots of connection options. Kind of like how I want the freight to work, where there'll be lots of possibilities to get from A to B. Doesn't necessarily have to be via the same route each time. This was interesting, building through this farmer's field. Hopefully I've not messed anything up. It's a grain farm, I believe, and they're kind of important right now. I'm relying on a lot of grain for different projects. So hopefully I've not messed anything up. We'll find out. But this is the first proper use of these girder bridges. You can see already it makes it so much easier to get over these roads, especially at really tight angles like that. This is where we ran into some money problems. You see I whack the game in... in fact, I don't whack the game in fast forward. I keep it on normal speed. In a minute, I'm pretty sure I whack the game in fast forward, just to try and get through this little hiccup. This is where the running cost of the train was far exceeding the amount of profit they were making. And that's because they weren't making any profit at this point. There was that hiccup that I was telling you about earlier. So for this part of the video, I do take out quite a big loan. And this is where I start getting nervous. Because whenever you take out a loan in a game like this, you're eating into your safety net. And if you reach the capacity of your safety net, so in other words, you max out your loan, and you're still not making money, you've then got interest to pay off as well on that loan. And if you've got no money, you can't pay off your loan. So you can't make your interest smaller, which means you're still paying a huge amount of interest, and it just spirals and spirals and spirals, and eventually you go bust. And that's when most people rage quit and throw their keyboards through the window. Not that I do that, of course. I'm very calm and rational. Although if you watched my Rocket League stream last week, you'd probably disagree with me on that one. Hey, it's my brother. He winds me up. So yeah, taking out the loan was a huge, huge risk. Particularly as I've still got a lot of expensive infrastructure to build here. This flyover, for example, that takes us into, or takes the slow lines into the station. It's basically entirely inspired by the crossover at King's Cross, on the approach to King's Cross, where the slow line like hops over, almost literally hops over the fast line. If you actually ride a train over that section, it really does feel like you're just quickly jumping up and over. It's a bit like on High Speed 1 when you cross over the, I think it's London, Tilbury and Southend line. Again, you just hop over it. And 1 minute it's on your left, the next minute it's on your right. And you're kind of like, oh, okay. It's kind of like that, but taken at a slightly slower speed. Why it wouldn't let me build that bridge in that configuration there, I do not know. But that was really, really frustrating. Again, trying to build this bridge as close to the line as possible, but still being able to build it, was very, very frustrating. It was just a case of, yeah, hit and hope, basically. And I do manage to get it done there. This road, that one there, you do see I moved that in a second. Just get rid of it. I think I turned it into a 90-degree junction, that road. And then also, oh yeah, I built some little crossovers here so that the trains can get from the bay platforms to the through platforms and so on and so forth. Did I do this right? Maybe I did. I did the wrong ones. Yeah, no, I did the wrong ones. I do connect the other ones up after, I believe. But for this bit, I just wanted to make sure that these ones here were connected up. That was priority. I believe the service that I add at the end here does in fact connect up to the bay platforms. So it was important to get that working. There we go. Now I've connected it up like this right now, but I don't actually like this. I think I'm going to change the junctions so that any train can access any platform, basically, and it's not restricted. I think that's the better way of doing it. But again, we'll leave it as is for now. We'll let the trains actually have a chance to make some money before I come in and start meddling with it all. This is where the slow lines connect up then, and I think I reconfigure this slightly to have the slow lines actually run alongside. There we go. Have it actually run alongside the fast lines across this bridge. There's no reason for this not to be a 4-track bridge. I felt it actually made more sense for it to be a 4-track bridge. So I do come through and connect that. We had some collisions here as well, which is a bit of a pain. It was this road here. I don't know why, again, it wouldn't just let me do it, but it didn't. So I had to redo that. And then here we run parallel to the fast line. And then we come in and we build this slope on the other side here. The down ramp, as it were. And then we do this and that. And I don't quite like that sheer rock wall. But it does work. And it kind of looks okay. I don't like it for stupid reasons. Like, it's functional. So there's no reason to hate it. But yeah, I'm just funny like that, I suppose. And then we add these crossovers. Couldn't do the scissor crossover there like I wanted, so I had to make some tweaks. But yeah, we do connect it up any second now. Yeah, I hate the fact you can't do a crossover, like a scissor crossover with a double slip. I do find that very, very frustrating. And then the autosave kicks in, of course. You've got to wait for that to finish before you can do the next part of that part of the build. And yeah. It's just there's still minor gripes I have with track laying in this game. It's not as bad as Railroads Online, where everything's a free for all as to whether it works or not. But sure, there are some issues that I have. I don't think the game's broken or anything. Don't get me wrong. I love this game. I think it's a really, really solid game. There are some things I would like to change. In fact, the big one was multiple platforms for service, which does seem to be happening. So no complaints there. You'll notice that I've left some platforms unconnected. That is for the likelihood of another line being added in the future that comes through. Like I said, though, I think I will reconfigure this junction. I think I might make that gap there between the fast lines and the slow lines. I think I might just fill that with bridge. Maybe reprofile the alignment of the slow line approach, and essentially just make it one big junction. Because pretty sure every train that comes through, apart from freight trains, which are going to run slow anyway, is going to stop at that station. Fast trains, slow trains, the lot is likely going to stop. So I don't see why I wouldn't. I had some problems with the autosig mod as well. It wasn't really behaving itself, so I had to kind of do it and then do it again a few times. Yeah, I don't see a problem with building lots of junctions on the approach to the station. Just like Richmond. Richmond has loads of junctions. Again, every train is pretty much going to stop there, so I saw no reason why not to do that. And then, yeah, I had some problems with autosig here as well, where one side of the track there worked and the other side didn't. So I end up having to like manually place all of these signals, which thankfully when you've got a guide, the one next to it there, it's not a huge deal. But it's still not ideal having to place them all manually. That was the whole point of getting autosig. So I don't know, maybe if I just closed the window and opened it again, it might have worked. But yeah. Oh, this is me. So yeah, I took out the loan. As you saw there, every time some money trickled in, I immediately paid off the loan again. I don't like sitting on having to pay interest. That doesn't sit well with me. If you'll pardon the pun. That autosig worked there, by the way. Not sure why that one worked and the other one didn't, but hey, that one worked. This station as well, I believe, doesn't have crossovers. Yeovil, that is. Don't think it has crossovers from fast to slow or slow to fast. Mainly because I imagine people would get off at Blackburn and change if they wanted to get to Yeovil. And this is another one that has a bus stop right outside, and this takes you into the town. So technically this is a parkway station. Maybe again with eye candy in the future I could make it look like a park and ride type thing. I think that'd be kind of cool. See how well that works. And yeah, we set up the bus there. We also set up a bus here in Scunthorpe. I think this is a circular one. We got a clockwise and an anti-clockwise. This one over here, can't read the name of the town. It looks like Framlington. Is that Framlington? I don't know. And then this last bit here, we add the road connections either side, and then we have the tram running. So right now the tram only runs up to I can't read that. Is it Maltby or Meltby or Maltby? I think it's Maltby. It runs to there anyway, and then does a circle around the town, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. So we have a tram in each direction, and then it connects up again and heads back. This is going to be one that's going to have a central bus station eventually, and it'll have the tram. Actually, the tram, yeah, okay, I think the tram should run to it. I don't know where it's going to go exactly, but the plan would be to have the tram run to the central bus stop as well. Even if it doesn't stop at the central bus stop, but just connected to it in some way. That would be cool. I think there is a way using mods to separate trams from roads and have them run as their own thing. This definitely looks like a candidate for that kind of light rail system for sure. And then all the other towns are buses only. So the thing that surprises me is how small Blackburn is still, because I've been running trains to it for quite some time now. I guess they've not been the most heavily used trains, but you'd still think just the act of having a station would kind of give it reason to grow. And we have been... Actually, no, we haven't been delivering food, because I don't think we're getting enough food down at Chipping Norton, but that's going to change soon as well. Now that Luton Freight Terminal is up and running, I might go back and rebuild the one down at... Is it Gravesend? It might be the one at Gravesend. I can't remember. The one with the viaduct that runs across it anyway. I might go back and rebuild that one to make it bigger. Build one up here for sure as well. And really have a good long hard look at our logistics and see how we're going to make that work. And like I said though, I think next week's episode is going to be... actually, what is next week? What's today? Thursday. So yeah, next week's episode. We're not in danger of intersecting a bank holiday or anything, so that's fine. Next week's episode is going to be connecting up those towns. Like I said, it's probably going to be a live episode as well, not a time-lapse like this. And then the week after that, I think we'll be starting to look at logistics again. Because I wanted to get these main like trunk main lines built, and then from there we can start really looking at going to town with freight and passengers and all sorts, basically. The game is running really slow here. What I hadn't realised was I was using the straight road tool and not the curved road tool, which wasn't ideal. So yeah, here I build straight road underneath, and then I build this really weird curve thing. I think it's here where I notice. Yeah, there you go. I was like, oh, duh. It would help if I actually did it properly, wouldn't it? And then you got to make sure you connect to the node like that, and then you build the road in like that. This road has been connected up because we could potentially link up another town in that direction. And if I do that, then I think the tram will change, and it will actually run from the bus stop in town to this railway station, and then to the next town over, and then back. And then the circular routes will be taken over by buses. I think that would work better. Trams are more for not high speed, but higher speed road travel, and maybe higher capacity as well. Whereas buses, you know, more for inside town kind of thing. There's autosave again, bane of my existence. I love the fact that it exists. I did have to use it recently as well because my game did crash, and I had to reload a save. But when it's actually autosaving, it can be a right pain in the backside, believe me. Connect up this little industry as well. We got traffic lights now as well with these big roads. I'm also surprised we haven't got one-way streets yet. I figured we might have unlocked those by now. I was actually going to ask if I should speed up time now, because we've got quite advanced in the game, so maybe it's time that we did look to speed up the clock slightly. But having said that, the main reason I wanted to do that was to get girder bridges, and we have now got them. So maybe I don't need it. I'm torn. I'm stuck in two minds. So feel free to let me know in the comments down below whether or not you think I should start speeding up the clock. Also, once I get these other mods in, I want to see what engines I unlock and wagons with the current setup, because I'm getting a bit bored of just having the LBSC ones. So again, if there's a way of getting around that, obviously I would like to take that, but I think we're okay. So this is me adding the express service in then. It's actually the Richmond to Blackburn one, I believe, that I extend further. Is it actually, or is it a new one? Might just be a new one. I'm trying to remember now. No, I'm sure it's the extension. I can't remember. But so yeah, some of the platforms were wrong, and I think there was like a minor hiccup somewhere around here as well, where I was like coming in on the wrong platform. Well, there's some little thing that was bugging me, but I can't remember what it was. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode, to be honest. We've got 3 minutes left. Maybe it'll be shortened slightly, depending on how much I've got left to say. This was a huge project. A lot of it was time-based. I mean, that sounds like stating the obvious, but you know what I mean? Like, it took a long time to do. The actual coming up with the idea of building the line up there and building that big station and stuff like that kind of came to me pretty quickly. But actually having the like the exact route mapped out, that was a bit harder. That took a bit longer to actually sort out, and I think because of that, this project took maybe an hour longer than it needed to. The design for the station as well, I didn't have that in my head, and I didn't want to copy anything directly. I wanted to kind of put my own spin on it. It's inspired by Cambridge, but I wouldn't say it's a copy of Cambridge. It's very similar in some regards, but it's not an exact duplicate. And again, I think that's kind of noticeable. I will, when I rebuild the junctions, I think I might add another crossover on the fast lines between two sets of platforms, just because. No other reason other than I can. We'll see how that looks. And I like the idea of these stations being asymmetrical now. Richmond was a bit too symmetrical for my liking, to the point that I'm actually tempted to go and change one of the, or at least two of the platforms to cargo platforms, just to make it a little bit more asymmetrical, but we'll see. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this episode, guys. Like I said, the loan is paid off, so there's no worries about that. The trains are making money again, so there's no worries about that. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how this is all going. So with that in mind, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course you're enjoying the series so far. Drop those comments down below, let me know your ideas for future episodes. Any towns that I haven't yet linked up on these main lines, there are plans sort of in place on how to do that, but I'm not 100% confirmed yet. So if you've got any suggestions, please do feel free to leave them down below. Was what I was trying to say there, instead of the foot noise that came out instead. Other than that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It really does help me out. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. The next time I will be speaking to you in this series will be after Christmas. So have a very good Christmas for those of you who celebrate it, or a very good weekend for those of you who don't. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, I will see you soon.